NVUSD Board of Education is holding a regular board meeting tonight, and we invite participation either remotely or in person. Directions on how to participate via Zoom are available at nvusd.org/board. The open session part of the meeting will begin at around 7 p.m. B, public comment on closed session items. Before going into closed session, the board is available for public comment on closed session agenda items. Ms. Green, do we have any public comment on closed session agenda items?
There is no public comment.
Thank you. Seeing that there are none, the board will now adjourn into closed session. Good evening. My name is Eve Reiser, and this is the Napa Valley Unified School District Board of Education. The NVUSD Board of Education is holding a regular board meeting tonight, and we invite participation either remotely or in person. Directions on how to participate via Zoom are available at nvusd.org/board. Interpretation in Spanish is available for tonight's virtual board meeting. Our interpreters are Francisco Mesa and Losha Soriano. One of the interpreters will now translate the directions on our English channel so our Spanish-speaking families may hear the instructions.
Buenas tardes. Para la interpretación en español, por Zoom, por favor busque el símbolo de el mundo terráqueo en la parte baja de su pantalla que dice Language Interpretation o Interpretación de Idiomas y haga clic en español y después Done. Desde una tableta o teléfono celular en Zoom, busquen 3 puntitos con la palabra More o más y bajo Interpretación de Idiomas, elija español y después pulse en Done o Listo. Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Can we please start with an attendance roll call from Vera Morales, Executive Assistant?
Yes. Student Board Member Graydon?
Present.
Trustee Reiser?
Present.
Trustee Shu?
Present.
Trustee Jankowicz?
Present.
Trustee Martin?
Present.
Trustee Water?
Present.
Quorum present. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us tonight for our NVUSD board meeting. E1, report on closed session. What did I skip?
Ms. Morales, did you call roll and include Trustee Hart?
You know, I just realized, no, I did not. Can I do the roll call again? Or just her?
Yes.
I'm here, Vera, I'm here.
Trustee Hart?
Present.
Quorum present. Thank you. Sorry about that.
Thanks for piping up, Trustee Hart. We know that you are well and duly here. Okay, E1, report on closed session. Trustee Hart, do you have a report on closed session agenda
Since I'm
items?
going to talk, yes, I do. E1, report on closed session items. D1, student discipline with respect to every item of business to be discussed in closed session pursuant to Ed Code 35146 and 4891220, Government Code Section 49060 and 49078, and the Family Rights and Privacy Act, USC Section 1232G, Student Matters. D1A, expulsions. D1A1, the board recommends for the expulsion of student 06122025A.
Move to approve.
Second.
So we have a first from Trustee Chu, a second from Trustee Hart. Ms. Morales, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Yes. Trustee Reiser?
Aye.
Trustee Shu?
Aye.
Trustee Hart?
Aye.
Trustee Jankowicz?
Aye.
Trustee Martin?
Aye.
Trustee Water?
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you.
2, the board recommends for the expulsion of student 06122025B.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a first from Trustee Chu, a second from Trustee Hart. Ms. Morales, can we have another roll call vote, please?
Yes. Trustee Reiser?
Aye.
Trustee Shu?
Aye.
Trustee Hart?
Aye.
Trustee Jankowicz?
Aye. Excuse me.
Trustee Martin?
Aye.
Trustee Water? Aye. Motion passes. Thank you.
3, the board recommends for the expulsion of student 06122025C.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a first from trustee Chu, a second from trustee Hart. Ms. Morales, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Yes, trustee Reiser,
Aye.
trustee Shu,
Aye.
trustee Hart,
Aye.
trustee Jankowicz,
Aye.
trustee Martin,
Aye.
trustee Water.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you.
4, the board recommends for the expulsion of student 06122025D.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a first from trustee Chu, a second from trustee Hart. Ms. Morales, can we have a roll call vote?
Yes, trustee Reiser,
Aye.
trustee Shu,
Aye.
trustee Hart,
Aye.
trustee Jankowicz,
Aye.
trustee Martin,
Aye.
trustee Water.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you.
D1B, readmitted expulsions. 1, the board recommends for the readmission from expulsion of student 06222023A.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a first from trustee Chu, a second from trustee Hart. Ms. Morales, may we have a roll call vote, please?
Yes, trustee Reiser,
Aye.
trustee Shu,
Aye.
trustee Hart,
Aye.
trustee Jankowicz,
Aye.
trustee Martin,
Aye.
trustee Water.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you.
2, the board recommends for the readmission from expulsion of student 02082024A.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a first from trustee Chu, a second from trustee Hart. Ms. Morales, may we have a roll call vote, please?
Trustee Reiser,
Aye.
trustee Shu,
Aye.
trustee Hart,
Aye.
trustee Jankowicz,
Aye.
trustee Martin,
Aye.
trustee Water.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you.
3, the board does not recommend for the readmission from expulsion of student 02132025B.
I move to not recommend for the readmission.
Second.
So we have first from trustee Chu, a second from trustee Hart. Ms. Morales, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Trustee Reiser,
Aye.
trustee Shu,
Aye.
trustee Hart,
Aye.
trustee Jankowicz,
Aye.
trustee Martin,
Aye.
trustee Water.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you very much. E2, flag salute. I'm going to ask for the last time our student trustee Riley Graydon to lead us in the flag salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
E3, announcement. This meeting is live streamed and recorded via Zoom and will be archived on the district YouTube channel. For a detailed review of any meeting agenda item, the archived video can be referenced on the district's webpage at nvusd.org. The process for public comment can also be found on the district's webpage. E4, approval of agenda.
Move to approve.
We have a first from trustee Chu, a second from trustee Jankowicz. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Motion passes. E5, approval of minutes. E5A, May 8th, 2025.
Move to approve.
Second.
A first from trustee Chu, a second from trustee Hart. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Motion passes. E5B, May 22nd, 2025.
Move to approve.
Second.
First from trustee Chu, a second from trustee Jankowicz. All in favor? Aye. Abstain?
Abstain.
Trustee Hart is abstained. Motion passes. E6, recognition of visitors and employee organizations. Dr. Massetti, do we have any visitors in attendance?
We do. Tonight, we have Dr. James Brown, the current and soon-to-be retired Executive Director of Stonebridge School here this evening, who is going to take a moment to say goodbye. and introduce the new Executive Director of Stonebridge School, the charter that we oversee here in NVUSD, Miss Lisa Myers. So I want to welcome, and before you start speaking, I want to welcome Ms. Myers in a moment, but I do want to just take a moment to tell you, Dr. Brown, that it's been an absolute pleasure working with you since you assumed the leadership role of Stonebridge. And I really appreciate the amount of collaboration that we've had with the school, your steady leadership, the improvements that you've brought there, and I really think the quality of the relationship over the last couple years, or the few years actually, has been well nurtured by your collaborative leadership style and the care that you bring to leading Stonebridge School and making sure that there's a caring relationship with all of its partners. So I wish you the very, very best in retirement. I know I'm going to miss you, and we look so forward to working with Ms. Myers. So why don't you take it away after all that? Is your mic on? Is your mic on?
Microphone on the bottom.
There's a little button.
A little
yes.
bit, there we go, now it's green. Thank you, Dr. Musetti.
You're
really
welcome.
appreciate it. I very much enjoyed collaborating with you as well and your team. And I actually, before I bring Ms. Myers up, I did want to say thank you personally to you for your collaboration with and visiting with us and really getting what we're doing. And so I think that that's been an important part of our relationship, is that you really understand the importance of what we're doing for the community as a whole. So thank you for that support. I also want to thank Vera Morales for keeping our calendars straight. I want to thank Rob Mangawala for his support in this business services, and Jenna Burrows, who I had the privilege of working with in Calistoga District as well. So her continued support down here has been just wonderful for us. I especially want to thank Terry Lynn Rossetti and the special education team. They've been just phenomenal support for our students. So that's been a great relationship for us as well, to be able to support our students with those services. And same with Kristen Teckel and Nosh. The Nosh team is unbelievable. They do such a great job and they work so hard. So we're very appreciative of them. And finally, Albert Souza and the maintenance team, very much appreciate everything they do to keep our school humming along and all the maintenance. So thank you for that. And as you said, this is a very opportune time for me to step down because the school just finished its 25th year in existence. So we're very proud of that. We're going to be celebrating it in August. And so it's a great time, and as you can visually see, I'm ready to go, to pass the torch. And nobody better than Lisa Myers, because she has deep roots with the school. Her current class, she just graduated our 8th grade class, promoted them from the 8th grade. They're going to be attending schools, Vintage, Napa High, Justin Siena. A lot of them are going to New Tech this year. So we're excited for them to have that experience entering into the district schools. And that's been a really wonderful transition for all of our students along the way to go into the district schools and to have that high school experience here. So thank you so much for that relationship. This particular 8th grade class, it takes a certain special person, because Lisa was with them since 4th grade? 4th grade. So she came in right around the pandemic, 4th grade, took this class all the way to 8th for the last 5 years. And that takes a really special person. And on top of that, she has a really deep understanding of Waldorf education. She's been doing it for the last 15, 20 years, a long time. She's been doing it a long time. And so she has a very deep understanding. So I'm so glad to pass this off to her, and I want to introduce you to Lisa Myers. She'll be taking over. And say goodbye.
Thank you so much for having me here, and I really look forward to leading Stonebridge into the future and working with all of you, collaborating in partnership. I'm a native Napan. My mom was born and raised here. My grandparents were born and raised here, so I have a deep commitment to offering supportive education to the students in our community, and I really look forward to working with you to help meet that need in our community. It's my great pleasure. So thank you for having me.
Welcome. Thanks for coming and introducing yourselves to the school board here. We really appreciate it. And again, we're so grateful for the collaborative partnership with all of you as a charter school. And thank you so much for the educational option that you provide here for our students in that K-8 experience. So we look forward to ongoing partnership, and rest up, Lisa. We know you're busy. It's going to be a busy start of the school year in your new role.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Okay, we have F, Recognition of Students of the Month. We are not doing that for this meeting. G, public comment on non-agenda items. Trustee Hart, did we receive any public comment on non-agenda items via email?
No public comments on non-agenda items were submitted via email at publiccomment@nvusd.org before 8 a.m. this morning.
Before I open the floor to public comment on non-agenda items, I'd like to explain the rules that govern this area of the meeting. The Brown Act open meeting laws under which we are required to operate prohibit board members from discussing items that you may bring up that are not on our current agenda. The reason for this legal restriction is to make sure that anyone who has an interest in a particular district business matter knows through the board's posted agenda when we will be discussing it as a board, so they can also be present and provide input on the item. We're very happy to have you here to let us know your concerns. Please know that while we cannot discuss items that are not on the agenda, we are listening to your voices, and we expect and know that our staff will follow up with us on issues raised by members of our community. Relevant to the remainder of the board agenda, please understand that the board listens and considers public comment on the agendized items during our meeting. However, public comment is not intended to be a two-way dialogue between the public and board members and/or staff, and therefore trustees will not respond to individual comments. This is in accordance with our meeting procedures. We invite members of the public to provide input via public comment per our board bylaw 9323 regarding meeting agenda items. We welcome and appreciate the public's engagement and input. In sum, please know that your voice matters and makes a difference. Your public comment on agendized items might be referenced during our discussions and will be considered as we make decisions regarding agendized items. Is there any public comment on non-agenda items?
There is no public comment on non-agenda items.
Okay, thank you. Seeing none, we will move on to H, reports. H1, Board of Education and Student Board Representative. Student Trustee Graydon, would you like to kick us off?
I would. Since I have last sat behind the dais, this is what I've been up to. I've attended the Track and Field VVAL State of the District, the Seroptimus Scholarship Award Banquet, Avid Graduation, AC's Night Out, the Legacy Rally, Senior Awards, the Leadership Banquet, Disney Grad Night, Senior Sunset, and of course, graduation. As it has finally all concluded, this past couple of weeks filled with many smiles, many laughs, and many tears, I just wanted to say thank you for the opportunity to represent the students of NVUSD. It has been quite an honor, and most importantly, thank you to the board members, Dr. Massetti and Miroslava, for making the hard decisions. It means a lot, and now for the last time ever, that has concluded my board report.
Well done, thank you. Trustee Water?
Thank you. Yes, it has been a busy couple of weeks. Usual community outreach. Let's see, I got my superintendent evaluation in on the 23rd on time. On the 29th, I did the check-in with Dr. Massetti. On June 2nd, I went to the adult ed graduation, always very inspiring. On June 3rd, I went to Napa Valley Independent Studies, Valley Oak High School, and New Tech graduations. And in between, I peeked in via Zoom at the NCOE meeting. And then on June 4th, I attended by webinar an ethics training course on Assembly Bill 2158. It was, fascinating, and it really was. And I went to Napa High School's graduation. And let's see, on June 5th, I went to American Canyon High School's graduation. And on the 6th, I went to Vintage High School graduation. I want to point out that I attended all graduations this year. I almost fell off the stage, but I did not. I didn't trip in the parking lot like I did a couple of years ago, and I did not succumb to heat stroke as I did twice. So in years past, so it was fine, and I'm still tired. And I went to a graduation party on June 8th, and everybody there was really, really happy. And today, I stopped by to pick up my silent auction win for the Napa High Choir at the office of Lorraine Richardson. And this energetic woman is not just the treasurer of the Napa High Choir and organizing fundraisers, but she also organized grad night. And I guess I just want to take this opportunity to thank all the parent volunteers, and certainly the ones who take the leadership in those efforts for really making the Napa Valley Unified School District student experience all the richer. So thank you very much, parents. And I am going to miss you. It was great stepping down from being president because I got to sit next to her, and I interviewed you and Miroslava after you'd been selected. I chatted with both of you and sort of tried to show you the ropes, tell you what the meetings were going to be like and who to call on if you needed anything. And these two young ladies reeled off the lists of their responsibilities and activities, and I sat there like this and was thinking, I should just let them be the president of the board instead of me this year. I mean, I just felt, I couldn't believe how much you've bitten off and how well you executed on everything. And it's been just so exciting seeing, you move through your senior year and do so well. And I mean it. I want both of you to hit me up in October when you're feeling homesick, and I'll send you that box of homemade chocolate chip cookies, and it'll make you very popular in the dorms. And that's the end of my report.
Thank you. Trustee Martin.
So I wasn't able to attend graduations during the day, but I attended 5 graduations in the evening, Monday through Friday last week, and I have to say they were absolutely majestic. It was clear from the brilliance of the student speakers that students are getting a pretty good education here at NVUSD. Last Saturday, I completed the 5th and final course in the CSBA's Masters in Governance program. So my goal was to do that in my first 6 months as trustee, and I did it, which is very satisfying. And as someone who has benefited from the Pride movement of the past 20 years, it's nice to see that the board and cabinet are celebrating Pride sartorially tonight. So, and then I just realized my auction lot that I won in the Napa High Coral Boosters thing is going to be mailed to me. So it was a tour of an olive oil farm in Fairfield. So I'm looking forward to it. Anyway, that concludes my report.
Trustee Jankowicz.
I have some involvement with CSBA, and they've been hard at work supporting public ed. June 6th was the deadline date for the following bills to pass out of their House origin, and all 6 of the CSBA sponsor bills passed out of their original House of Origin. AB 1021 for workforce housing, AB 1111 electric school buses, AB 1224, the 60-day substitute, AB 1381, the workforce housing pre-development budget proposal, and SB 374, which is really the implementation of SB 1315, which you guys all remember was all the assessing the types and number of records that LEAs are required to keep. So that was a positive move in the right direction for public education. I attended an ERAF meeting with Assistant Superintendent Manguala and some constituents. I met with founder Lucy Roberts of Becoming Belonging, an organization developed with the support of the California Department of Social Services Opportunities for Youth, and their mission is to strengthen home relationships and environments for California's unaccompanied, undocumented, and those who care for them. I attended a Zoom meeting with Senator McGuire, Senate District 2. His district includes Marin County, and Marin is included in our CSBA region. And the reality is that our CSBA lobbying efforts apply to all districts. And the focus was on Prop 98. Dr. Musetti and Dr. Powell's work on dual enrollment will be an area of focus for a new task force that I'm sitting on for the Napa Valley College Ed Foundation. Graduation week, I attended all of them except for one, and I'm really sorry, I missed American Canyon. Congratulations to all the graduates. The ceremonies were such a reflection of our students and our graduates and their stories and the impact that education has had on their own individual high school experiences. And I agree with you, NVUSD should be very proud. And we wish all the graduates, 2 in particular, continued success and joy on the road ahead. I attended via Zoom, not the other days, but the previous NCOE board meeting with the FCMAT review, and there was some excellent public comment made. I attended the special board meeting for the end of the year superintendent evaluation report, and I attended the finance committee meeting, which I will make a comment on later in the agenda, and that concludes my report.
Trustee Hart?
All right, I would like to echo the sentiments already said here. We're going to hear a lot of the same things, but happy Pride, everybody, and good job on the shirts. I always get compliments when I wear this throughout the year, so it's really great to see everybody supporting each other here tonight. I was not at the last board meeting, so I'm going to skip all the way back into May and talk about my very first CSBA delegate assembly in Sacramento, which I attended along with Robin, which was a great experience. I met a lot of folks that I had met previously at AEC who are very involved with school boards in the state of California, and that was a really good experience. I learned a lot there. On the 21st in May, I got to attend the Most Excellent School Staff Celebration at NCOE and see all of the great staff members across the county, but especially those from NVUSD, be recognized and thanked for their contributions. On the 22nd, I was on a call with Senator Cabaldon, along with several folks, including Trustee Jankowicz. I got to speak to him regarding the Prop 98, which is our minimum level of funding guarantee that we have here in the state of California, and asked for his support in not allowing the governor to circumvent that for this upcoming year. May 27th, Puebla Vista, I got to attend their end of the year choir / music concert. We got to see the kids play music, sing, and then also they have a digital one, I forget what they call it, but they basically make music on the computer, and they got to play that. That was kind of a cool thing. The next day I was back again at PV for their award ceremony. My daughter was awarded with a Critical Thinking Award, which I actually do agree with, so that's good. On the 29th, I got to attend an event put on by Mentis, Transforming Mental Health Through Lived Experience, featuring Brandon Staglin, which, if you're familiar with the Staglin family here in the Valley, they're huge supporters of mental health. He went through his own experience with schizophrenia and how he has moved on through his life and become to a really good place, which was very encouraging to hear. On the 2nd, along with pretty much everybody, I started to see the graduations, Napa Valley Adult Education graduation, which is unfairly my favorite, because you see some folks there that you're just so proud of them for what they've accomplished. They have all kinds of challenges. They have kids, they have families, they have full-time jobs, and they're still getting their education done. And they have just very inspiring words, and I think that's a great one. On the 5th, Puebla Vista promotion ceremony. My daughter's moving on from Puebla Vista. She's not there anymore. I wanted to thank Helen Roca, the principal, all her teachers that she's had over the years, Miss Kathy and the office staff, Lupita in the cafeteria for feeding her every day, and for Jaime, who does pretty much everything else there on the grounds and takes care of the kids and everything. So thank you for taking care of my daughter. That night, I was able to attend for the first time the graduation in American Canyon, which was really cool. They double do it. So they come up each side. So it went really fast, and it was really great. Great speakers. All the speeches were amazing. Beautiful, diverse crowd of students graduating, and it was very encouraging to see that. June 9th, Cindy Water and myself got to interview our student board reps, potential candidates for next year. And she's right, every single one of them is an overachiever and has a list as long as your arm of achievements, things they've done, amazing things that they're involved with. just, it's great. And it's so cool to see that in our own district, have these kids that are just rock stars already at like 16. And then on the 10th, a couple days ago, we all did the special board meeting superintendent evaluation, and that catches me up to tonight. That concludes my report.
So I also attended a lot of graduations, although not as many as Trustee Water. And it's always amazing to see the culmination of the students' work up to that point. So congratulations to all of them for graduating. On Friday, the 5th, I also attended the ACMS promotion along with Trustee Reiser. And those are our new incoming freshmen. So I'm looking forward to hearing about their journey over the next few years. And last night, I was able to attend the first Meet Me in the Streets in American Canyon. It's always fun. And so I brought a couple of things that I purchased from our students. And I will show you. So here's one. The company is called Wildflower Valley. And I thought it was just a beautiful design and a wonderful bag. And I will share with you on the back, there's a saying, wherever life plants you, bloom with grace. So I thought it was a perfect end to the school year to be able to say that to graduates as well. I also bought a couple of cookies, probably not so great for waistlines, but this one is interesting I can't even say it. Potato chip chocolate chip cookie, which is real interesting. Yes. So they use chocolate chips in here. Yes, and Trustee Water, I know, is a big baker and says it's probably really delicious. So I had to show this before I eat it.
It has extra salt and fat.
It has
so
extra
it's
salt.
good.
And then this one is a matcha white chocolate chip cookie, which maybe I'll share with all of you, or maybe I'll just keep it to myself. But the next couple of meets in the streets where you can, see the booths of our students, really, is going to be on July 9th and August 13th. And I do want to give a special shout out to the American Canyon Chamber of Commerce, especially their CEO, Valerie Zizak-Moray, for giving our students this extra opportunity, this enrichment to really learn about what it is to be an entrepreneur. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Well, graduation season is the best season to be a trustee, and my face still hurts from all the constant smiling Monday through Friday of last week. I attended the adult education graduation on Monday. On Tuesday, we began with the Napa Valley Independent Studies, followed by Valley Oak High School, and in the evening, the New Technology High School graduation. Wednesday, we had the Napa High graduation, and also, I think it was Wednesday and not, maybe it was Thursday, Trustee Water and I attended the ADAPT program's graduation. It was the first year I've been able to attend that. Randy Storm is the clinical director there, and Mike Coughlin is our NVUSD person on the ground there contributing to that program. And I just want to thank them in particular. I walked away from that ceremony, and the total class of students in that program totals like 12 to 15, and there were 3 seniors graduating. And the feeling I walked away with was, pride, because it's our obligation to meet kids where they are and support them from wherever they are and with whatever their needs are, to be academically and personally successful. And that ADAPT graduation had 3 graduates compared to the ACHS, which I think was somewhere around 400 for over 400 for the class. And so I just think it really speaks to the range of options and ways in which we see our students for who they are and what they need, and provide that for them. So that was a treat for me this year to be able to witness that in person. Then ACHS, congratulations to student trustee Graydon in particular. It's always such a joy to be able to clap for our student trustees when they walk the stage and get their diploma. Friday morning, I attended the ACMS promotion ceremony, and they asked me to be a speaker, so I spoke to them about the difference between belonging and fitting in. Brene Brown says that belonging will never ask you to change who you are, and that the opposite of belonging is fitting in. So I encouraged the rising ninth graders to find the ways at ACHS when places where they can really truly be themselves and belonging. And I'm sure that school will provide many different pathways for that, for those students. And then Friday night ended the season with vintage graduation. So congratulations to our vintage high student trustee, Miroslava Duraza Cifuentes. It was also an amazing joy to clap for you and cheer for you as you cross the stage. On the 10th, we as a board conducted the superintendent evaluation workshop. And then yesterday I had my regular superintendent president, board president check-in ahead of the meeting. And this concludes my report. So that brings us to the board representative reports. H2A, Special Education Community Advisory Committee.
We have not met.
Okay, and H2B, City of American Canyon.
We have not met.
And H2C, City of Napa liaison representatives.
We have not met.
Has not met. So H3, Superintendent and Executive Staff.
Great, thank you, President Reiser. So hello, NVUSD trustees, staff, and community. Tonight, my superintendent's report will be pretty short and sweet, but filled with gratitude and lots of pride, literally. This June, we proudly celebrate, as many of the trustees stated, Pride Month in NVUSD, and we honor the voices, the identities, and experiences of our LGBTQIA+ students, staff, families, and community members. At NVUSD, if you look at our strategic plan, Strategy 4, it demonstrates our commitment to fostering a school environment where everyone feels seen, safe, included, welcomed, valued, and supported for who they are. Pride Month is a powerful reminder of the importance of inclusion and equity, and we stand in solidarity with all who advocate for dignity, respect, and inclusivity for all. To our LGBTQIA+ community, we want you to know that you belong here, and we celebrate you, not just this month, but every day. Congratulations to all NVUSD students, staff, and families on the completion of another successful school year. This year has brought so many accomplishments across our classrooms, campuses, and community, and we have much to celebrate. And then a heartfelt thank you goes out to our maintenance and operations, student services, and communications teams, those 3 teams, for their exceptional work in ensuring that our class of 2025 graduation ceremonies were executed with care, precision, and excellence. Your behind-the-scenes dedication made it possible for our students and their families to experience one of life's most joyful and meaningful milestones in a way that was both memorable and seamless. I remain deeply grateful to be part of a district that honors its graduates and their achievements with such thoughtfulness, class, and heart. And stay tuned at the upcoming June 26th board meeting. We want to take an extra step in recognizing the behind-the-scenes staff, and we'll be doing a presentation of certificates of excellence to all the employees who contributed to those world-class, did you say majestic, Trustee Martin? That's a good word, majestic graduation ceremonies to recognize them for their hard work. Thank you and congratulations once again to all of the NVUSD community. While our work as a governance team continues through the end of the month, we're almost there, board members, I want to take a moment to wish all of our families, students, and staff who began their summer break in June this past week a restful, restorative, and well-deserved time away. May this summer offer opportunities to recharge, reflect, and enjoy time with loved ones and friends. With that, we're going to turn it over to the Assistant Supes. We'll start with Assistant Superintendent Dana Page, who oversees the Human Resources Division.
Thank you. Good evening, President Reiser, Board of Trustees, Student Board Member Graydon, and Dr. Massetti. I'm pleased to share that tonight's board agenda includes the final 3-year successor contract for the Napa Valley Educators Association, which represents our teachers, counselors, and nurses. In NVUSD, we approach contract negotiations differently. Since salary increases are set each fall using the formula, our negotiations team, known as the NVEA Council, can take a deeper look at the contract every 3 years. Over the 24-25 school year, we reviewed each open article, gathered input from both NVEA and management, and worked together to develop solutions that go beyond what traditional bargaining usually achieves. I want to thank NVEA President Deb St. Clair and Chief Negotiator Troy Giddings not only for leading this important work, but also for their ongoing collaboration throughout the year to improve working conditions and solve challenges. I also appreciate the entire NVEA Council for their active participation, creative problem solving, and strong advocacy for both members and students. This week, we kicked off a series of summer opportunities for employees to learn the principles and practices of implementing an outward mindset. Arbinger Institute's outward mindset is a practical framework that helps us look beyond our own roles and perspectives to better understand and support the people we work with every day, including students, parents, and colleagues. In short, having an outward mindset helps us to see others as people who matter just like we matter. Why is the outward mindset important for NVUSD? It supports a culture of mutual respect and trust. It encourages constructive problem solving and enables honest conversations. It enhances our ability to serve students, families, and one another. At the conclusion of these summer sessions, we will have provided this training to close to 400 employees since we began this work 2 years ago. Lastly, as this is peak hiring season, I'd like to highlight one of our key recruiting tools, the NVUSD Careers webpage. Since its launch in November 2022, our visibility and potential candidates have grown significantly. Since January 2025, just this year, our careers page has received over 17,000 views. Last month alone, we had 3,387 job views and 1,081 clicks to apply, reflecting a 28% conversion rate. Next year, we plan to refresh the content of our careers platform so it better reflects our core values, adult portrait qualities, and other key elements of our strategic plan. Thank you, and this concludes my report.
Great, congratulations on all that work, Ms. Page. Next, we have Dr. Monica Reddy, who serves as the Assistant Superintendent of the Instructional Support Services Division.
Good evening, President Reiser, Board of Trustees, Student Board Member Graydon, and Superintendent Dr. Musetti and the NVUSD community. Tonight's report offers a look back at the close of the school year, reflections on the first year of the early college program at New Tech High School, and a look ahead to the summer learning and planning that's already underway across NVUSD. As noted in reports this evening, the promotion and graduation ceremonies last week were a great reminder of the heart of our work, NVUSD's Vision 2040 and our graduate portrait, which came through in the voices of our students. In speech after speech, we heard stories of compassion, the power of relationships, communities alive with diversity and multilingualism, and encouragement to face the future with confidence. These students are ready. Whether they're entering middle school, high school, or heading into adulthood, and that readiness is a testament to the entire NVUSD community. From the seeds planted in elementary school with our staff to the connections nurtured across our schools, our students are becoming ambassadors. Thank you to our principals, staff, and volunteers for creating such meaningful promotion and graduation ceremonies. And I want to give a special shout out to our maintenance operations, communications, and student services team for their behind-the-scenes excellence that made every event run smoothly. And last but certainly not least, congratulations to all of our graduates and best wishes on your future endeavors. This morning, we had the opportunity to celebrate another milestone, our first NVUSD Data Dialogue Showcase. As we approach the end of the year, we are incredibly proud of our principals and assistant principals who reflected on their site data journeys and shared how they've used student performance data to take targeted action. Each school site identified goals aligned with CASP indicators, monitored progress with the STAR assessment, and engaged in small group conversations to reflect on their impact and next steps. Many sites celebrated improvements both at the student level and system level in literacy and math, and more importantly, these events affirm the culture of continuous improvement we're building across NVUSD. I want to thank our site leaders and our data and assessment team for supporting this work, for their leadership and transparency. This year also marked the first full year of our early college program at New Tech High School. Building on last year's planning, the New Tech High School, NVUSD, and Napa Valley College Advisory Committee helped launch a successful start. In total, 20 dual enrollment classes were offered, with all ninth graders beginning their college journeys through Counseling 101. Thanks to Liliana Barajas from Napa Valley College for her direct support on campus as a counselor, and to Greg Miraglia for serving as our early college liaison between Napa Valley College and New Tech High School. Notably, student pass rates for transferable college credit courses increased by 27%. Next year, we'll see even more growth with 3 New Tech High School teachers delivering dual enrollment classes on campus. I want to thank our human resources team for that support. There's clear momentum, and we're proud of the doors this program is opening for all of our students at New Tech High School. Looking ahead, summer programming kicks off this week and next week, and one new initiative we're especially excited about is the Valdez Math Summer Program. This program supports rising 4th through 7th graders in building confidence and foundational math skills through culturally responsive instruction. Hosted at Napa Valley College, it also sparks early college awareness for giving students the experience of learning on a college campus. We have over 130 students signed up for an intensive math program, so I have to give a big shout out to those 4th through 7th graders who are committed to that summer program. And thank you to Cheryl Lawton for bringing this successful model to NVUSD. It's a powerful investment in our students. While students may be starting their summer break, our educators are still deeply engaged in learning and planning. This week alone, we've seen everything from M-Class Dibbles training for K-2 teachers to unit design work in high school science. Our TK teachers are diving deeply into Curiosity Corner. Secondary ELA and math teachers are aligning units, and our ethnic studies teachers are refining content for the coming school year. Our district academic specialist team is busy. Principals just wrapped up their final letter session, and elementary math teams are using their experience from Bridge's 3rd edition implementation to fine-tune pacing for next year. Our athletic coaches engaged in training on Parent Square as our single point of communication between coaches, families, and students. This commitment to continuous improvement reflects the strength and professionalism of our staff across the district. Our work this summer with students and staff is in direct response to state and local assessment that will be shared later this evening through the STAR and LCAP presentations, and I look forward to sharing more of that plan. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Dr. Reddy, and congratulations on all the progress in your division. Next, we have Assistant Superintendent Rag Mangwala, who oversees business and operational services.
I will provide a budget presentation, and I'm going to forego my report for now. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Mangwala. President Reiser, that concludes superintendent and executive staff reports for the evening.
Thank you. That brings us to H4, Facilities and Bond Program Update.
All right, almost there. Yes, you can start. You're in charge, so go ahead.
I wouldn't go that far. So I just want to start by saying there's a lot going on. There's a lot going on in terms of construction. We just have some of the pictures up there. So I was not able to attend the opening and construction yesterday. I was in San Diego. I had to go pick up my daughter from college. So I'm sorry I missed the grand opening, but there is still a lot going on and a lot to do. So I did manage to get to 10 of the 11 sites today. And so we do have 11 sites with construction if you include American Canyon. And to say that we needed to close those sites and keep teachers out due to safety is an understatement. So the amount of work that's going on, like literally in American Canyon, they're tearing off the metal roofs and toss them to the ground, and just watch out. There is a lot going on. Super excited to see it happening. You know, some schools had upward of 50 employees out there. So definitely a lot of things going on. Super exciting. It's pretty hard to drive by a school in Napa and not see work happening. So very excited with that. And with that, we'll go on to the update. Kelly?
All right.
Thank you.
All right, as always, we're anchoring ourselves in strategic goal number 14. All right, go ahead. There you go. All right, before we get into the fun of what we're doing this summer, there are some contracts on the agenda coming up. Architectural services, believe it or not, for projects we're going to do next summer. Stonebridge School will mark the end of the campus modernization work at the elementary schools, so that'll be a nice milestone. We're going to get started on that one. Napa High and Vintage will both get started on design for their campus modernization. Again, reminder, that's roofing, HVAC, and paint. And then we're going to get started on playground replacements. So those of you that are in the subcommittee know that we discussed all of the evaluations we did. So now we're going to start the first wave of design on the playground replacements. And then also there is a construction contract to add 2 additional portables at Canyon Oaks. And that's it for your agenda items tonight. Now the fun stuff. All right, so we're only 2 days in. And we've got HVAC units coming off of the trucks, and we've got roofs coming off at Silverado and Browns Valley. All right, next slide. And then we also have campus modernization. We're capping at McPherson and Shear TK. So you can see the roofing materials coming off there and us getting started on that work. All right, Phillips, Pueblo Vista, and Vichy, you can see roofs already off on a lot of the buildings. And then on the right, you can see the roofing material has been delivered as well so that they could get started on getting the new stuff up there as quickly as possible. At West Park, we are just doing exterior paint and drainage because in the aftermath of the earthquake, there was roofing and HVAC done early in Measure H at that site. But we still are doing exterior paint. And if everybody remembers the slideshow with the flooding that helped us promote the need for a bond, we will be fixing that. So that's pretty exciting. As you can see, we got a head start on some of the dry rot repair. There was a great deal of dry rot at West Park. We were a little concerned how that might snowball during a quick summer turnaround, so we did some early work there to repair the dry rot, so we were in a better position to start the work. All right. Okay, this is where Rob saw the metal roofing flying off. So unfortunately, in this picture, it's already off. So they'll be doing HVAC units. In the opening there, you see where they're removing the old units, putting the new ones in, and the roofing has come off. Yes. And then we will be doing our field replacement and track recoding this summer too. They have not mobilized on that site yet, so not quite as exciting, but just a reminder, that one's coming too this summer. And then I squeezed in, just while I was sitting there, I squeezed in a picture of the banners because today we hung all the banners at all of the sites, thanking our Measure B voters for the great work. So I just slipped that picture in at the last minute. So one more thank you. I want to say thank you to our staff for hanging all the stuff and getting things going, but then also to our great contractor partners. Arntz Builders, Wright Contracting, and Core Construction have been out there in force and doing a fantastic job. So thank you very much. They're so big.
I actually caught them actually hanging.
Did you?
I did. I'm like, you're late.
All right, and that's it, unless there's questions.
Questions or comments from trustees? I just want to commend you for, I think the reason that so much is underway at once is because Mr. Banguala and Kelly, you were so strategic about getting those contracts in place and getting the work plans ahead of time so that as soon as the bond passed, pretty much you were ready to start pulling the trigger on contracts, and that's why we're out the gate so fast and so robustly. So thank you so much for that, and I think we're doing a really great job of communicating to the community as well. I saw in my social media feed, we're putting out signs, pardon the dust. We have a lot going on, so hopefully that word will get out to the community in various ways about all of the amazing progress and improvement that we have going on.
Thank you.
Yes, I just looked at the website, Measure B projects. It's a lot easier to access. It's very easy. It's easy to navigate. It's very plain, bright, easy to understand. A person with really minimum tech skills can find it, can find all the information they need. So it's good.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
This brings us to I, approval of consent agenda. Background information on these items is provided to the board prior to the meeting. A common motion takes action without discussion on roll call vote unless discussion of items is requested by a board member or board members.
I will move to approve.
Second.
We have a first from trustee Chu, a second from trustee Hart. Ms. Morales, could we please have a roll call vote?
Yes. Trustee Reiser?
Aye.
Trustee Shu?
Aye.
Trustee Hart?
Aye.
Trustee Jankowicz?
Aye.
Trustee Martin?
Aye.
Trustee Water?
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now that brings us to J, presentations and discussion items. J1, general services. J1A, recognition of student board members.
Great. I'm going to ask Student Board Member Representative Riley Graydon and Student Board Representative Miroslava de Reza Cifuentes to come on up. If you could stand here to the right, please. Great. So good evening, trustees. In alignment with our organizational value focused on a culture of joy and celebration, tonight we proudly honor and celebrate two remarkable young women, Riley Graydon and Miroslava de Reza Cifuentes, who have served as student board representatives with strength, insight, and grace. We are enthusiastically presenting each of you with the NVUSD Distinguished Service Award. Throughout the year, both Riley and Miroslava have brought thoughtful perspectives to the table, or the dais, speaking not only for themselves, but for their peers across all of our schools. They have reminded us of what it means to lead with courage, compassion, and clarity of purpose. Both Riley and Miroslava embody all of the elements of our graduate portrait for sure. They are ready for adulthood and the real world. They are career-ready scholars. They are adaptive learners. They are confident and affirming self-champions. They are both very compassionate and relational humanitarians. They are equity-centered local and global ambassadors, and they are innovative and collaborative solution seekers. Good job, parents. In every discussion, they've demonstrated maturity beyond their years, challenging us to think more deeply, to listen more carefully, and to keep students at the center of every decision that we make. They've been role models, proving that young women, and specifically here, two young women of color, have a powerful place in leadership, and that student voice is not just valuable, but absolutely vital. On behalf of the entire NVUSD district community, thank you both for your service, your advocacy, and your unwavering commitment to making our schools better for everyone. We are very proud of you, and we know that your leadership journey is just beginning as you close your journey here in NVUSD. We wish you both the very best of luck. Riley, good luck in New Orleans at Xavier University, and Miroslava, good luck to you at Yale University in Connecticut in New Haven, where you will both accomplish great things. President Reiser and trustees, I'd like to invite you to take a moment to honor these two amazing scholars, young female leaders that we've had the honor and privilege of working with during the 24-25 school year after I present them formally with their award. So join me in recognizing Student Board Member Riley Graydon for distinguished service presented here by the Napa Valley Unified School District in recognition and appreciation for her exemplary dedication and commitment to the students, families, and employees of NVUSD. Riley, big round of applause. And please join me also in presenting the Distinguished Service Award to Miroslava de Reza Cifuentes, presented by the Napa Valley Unified School District in recognition and appreciation for her exemplary dedication and commitment to the students, families, and employees in NVUSD. Congratulations, Miroslava. Big round of applause. We're going to take some photos, and we're going to welcome, we know families are here, so you're more than welcome to come on up with President Reiser. So let's do individual ones, and then we'll do ones together. Okay. And families, do you want to come on up? We'll do one with Riley's family. All right, so we open up the floor to the trustees if you'd like to make any comments. Thank you so much for your time. Oh, and if you have any comments too.
You all go first.
Go ahead, Riley. Give us your comments.
It's so like strange being down here. Well, first, thank you. Honestly, this year has really been a lot of fun, and it's been really interesting to see like the correlation between the school board and being in school. I really just want to say thank you for the opportunity, and you guys do some amazing work, and I couldn't have asked for a better 4 years to have spent in high school than in NVUSD, because I genuinely made some of the most amazing memories and genuine connections, and you guys are doing amazing work, absolutely, and I am forever grateful. Thank you.
I'd like to start off by saying thank you for giving me the opportunity to, like, even though I wasn't always present, but thank you for allowing me to see how the board works and how the changes that you see here trickle down to the school community. It was a really amazing opportunity, and I think it solidified my passion for public service in the future. And yeah, thank you so much for everything you do, for the passion that you have for students, as well as the way you always see things in the view of, like, for the students. I think that's really important. Thank you so much.
Okay, trustees, who would like to kick us off? Oh, Trustee Chu.
Oh my goodness. I started this journey with you because I was one of two who interviewed you, and I can tell you it was a very hard decision to decide who was going to be our primary and who was going to be our secondary. And I am so glad you guys kind of split your responsibilities this year. It was not planned, but it was wonderful because we got to know both of you much better than it would have been normally. So congratulations to you for, being wonderful board members with us. Riley, it is always a pleasure, of course, and especially since you are the other American Canyon resident who's sitting with us. So really happy whenever I can hear your voice from the student perspective, where, I come from the parent perspective. And Miroslava, it's so awesome. I know that you say that you have maybe not have been here. You know what? You have. You really have. And it is a pleasure, and for both of you to go on to wonderful, secondary, beyond secondary education at Xavier University and Yale makes us so proud, and know that we are producing such wonderful future leaders of America. So congratulations.
This year was my first opportunity to sit in on the student board member interviews, so I can understand now where Lisa's coming from, because we truly are getting like the best and brightest of every school in the district. So you should be very proud of yourselves for having, been selected, and we want to thank you. I want to thank you for your time and your efforts and all the times you've sat here with us late at night. I know you have school the next day and tests and all kinds of things, and you've really put in that effort for us. I would like for you both to turn around and look at how proud your mamas look right now, and remember that, because they're super proud of you. We're super proud of you, and congrats on everything.
Of course, I had to write it out. You know me. But I do want to say something first that I thought about as everybody was making their comments. we do this work. You guys got engaged and you understood what a board agenda looks like and the kinds of decisions that are made, and you have an opportunity to kind of observe the workings of the district. But at the end of the day, when we get to look over at a student board rep and we get to listen to your viewpoint and your perspective, and when you use your voice to advocate for your peers, it really brings life to the work. It makes us, I think, really accountable and present in our decision-making when we serve students, and you are a constant reminder of how important that work is and how successful that work has been. So now, of course, I will read my little paragraph because that's how I have to do things. Thank you. I want to extend my appreciation to you both for your outstanding service this past year. Your voices brought invaluable insight, compassion, intellect, and authenticity to our discussions, reminding us of the real impact our decisions have on student lives. Your leadership, thoughtful contributions, and dedication to representing your peers have left a lasting impression. And I am confident you will continue to make a meaningful difference at your respective colleges and wherever your journey takes you. So thank you for your commitment and for being such a powerful advocate for student voice. We will truly miss you two. You guys are very special. Thank you for your work. Welcome.
I haven't, unfortunately, I'm so sad not to have gotten to know you because I'm so new, but every interaction I've had with both of you has just been so impressive and amazing. And I only wish that when I was 18, I was I was half the students that you guys are. So I wish you well. I'm very envious of the exciting adventures that you have going forward, and it's been an honor and a pleasure to know you.
Well, I'm looking at you and I'm thinking of something I said to my daughter when she went off to some snooty college for a summer program. And I just looked at her and said, remember who you are and what you stand for. And I'm sure that you too have the backbone, have the inner strength. You got it from your families, from your friends. You will stay true to yourselves. And that's the important thing. The other thing I noted, and I've said a lot earlier about, the chocolate chip cookies, and all that sort of thing. And they're good. I mean, that's how I paid my way through Berkeley, baking cookies. So, don't knock them. But the one thing I noticed about both of you, you had a healthy competitive sense. You wanted to succeed. You wanted to succeed not just for yourself, but you wanted to make your families happy. And that was like part of it. And but along with a healthy ambition, I noticed a lot of kindness from you. You were just as happy when your friends succeeded. And I think that is so important. I think we're looking at frankly, there's a lot of cold-heartedness in the ascendancy right now. And, we need competent, good-humored people out there, to fight it. And I just know that you're going to be on the side of the right and the good. And I'm so happy that both of you say you're interested in careers in public service, because there's nothing like it. There's nothing like it. So, Godspeed, and write us a note and tell us how you're doing. If you need a couple extra bucks, you can count on me. Good luck to you. It's been such a pleasure. Okay.
Yeah.
You can go. This is great. Look at that. Look at those little things.
I do want to close us out by, there's gift giving happening right now. I'll just wrap up what my colleagues have expressed so eloquently by thanking you for your commitment and the long hours. And, you're in a really unique position as a student trustee where you're really straddling this sort of, this adult governance work, and while simultaneously being one of the customers that we're serving. And you have both brought incredible poise, respect for the responsibility that you took on by taking this role, humor and compassion and confidence. I have been just so impressed and full of admiration for both of you, the way you have juggled incredibly demanding academic schedules, incredibly demanding extracurricular activities, hopefully some fun social things in there too. You all are smiling, so I think you had some fun too. And just thank you for being such role models for your NVUSD community by stepping into this role and carrying it off with such grace and self-possession. And what I hope you take away, I hope that you leave this role feeling empowered as a leader, that it's maybe a little demystified when you're sort of like, oh, this is how meetings run and it works like this every time, and it's not some sort of secret society that only some people know how it works. You've participated, you have engaged and interacted, and I hope you know that you really both rose to the occasion, and I hope you feel empowered and proud from your service here. We're all so proud of both of you and your future endeavors. Stay true to yourself and keep your eyes on the prize, whatever you decide that is. We believe in you and can't wait to hear how it's all going. So keep us posted, and we wish you the very, very best. And by the power vested in me as the president of this board, I do excuse you both early from this meeting. I think you've served us well and long, and if you would like to excuse yourselves, you're welcome to do that.
And thank you, parents.
Yes, thank you for sharing them with us for this school year.
I would challenge you. Maybe you don't like that. If I give you a do that, let's get a video. I think it's a video. But not
Okay. Parting is such sweet sorrow. Okay, that brings us to J2, Business Services, J2A, the public hearing on the 2025-26 budget and presentation. Mr. Mangala.
It's always risky having the fiscal director do the budget because you might like her better. I know, right? Exactly. So. All right. Thank you for the opportunity to update the board and about our adopted budget for 25. So it's for the current year, 25-26. and goes through 25-28. So it is a 3-year budget adoption. And so as you recall, school districts are required to adopt a budget over 2 board meetings in June and then update the budget twice throughout the year. So this can be challenging for school districts, especially because the final details of the budget are not available. This year is a great example of that. So the governors may revise, and what the legislator just put through are dramatically different. So there are a lot of things that are very, very different. So we'll just have to, like we always do, adopt a budget based on the best information that we had at the time. And because we have a very good budget, I would say, we have a stable budget, we're not deficit spending, we can afford to make adjustments at first interim. So this is the best information we have, but there have been significant changes. We won't actually know until the legislator kind of goes back and forth on some of these very significant changes, including underfunding, potentially Prop 98. So we'll just have to wait and see. Next slide, please. So what's new? Expanded program funding. And so again, despite very challenging economic scenario that we have in front of us, we have tariffs, we have potential cuts to federal funding, we have tariff roller coasters that have made the stock market go up and go down. There's still some expanded programming in here in this budget, which ultimately we'll just have to see where we land, but expanding programming when there's a lot of budget uncertainty, I wouldn't recommend that, but that is happening at the state level. So again, we'll just kind of have to wait and see where we ultimately land on it. Next slide. So this first one is very exciting. I don't see this at any risk other than they could reduce the amount that we receive. This is a very popular program. So there's 2 big pieces to it. So one is the expansion of age eligibility. So we will now have all 4-year-olds in school. It's pretty exciting. So all 4-year-olds, if you're 4 by September, so technically you could be just short of 4, you could be 3 when you enroll, 3 in a couple weeks. You can enroll in TK. So pretty exciting stuff. They've also reduced the maximum class size. And so the maximum that we have in a classroom is dropping from 24 to 20. That does include 2 adults, so that's the teacher and the adult. Additional funding is planned, but the exact amount is yet to be determined. And so we've added a number of classrooms. So we've added 7 TK classrooms. I think we might even actually be up to 8. We've added them in both American Canyon and Napa. And so this has helped Napa and districts across the state kind of offset the declining enrollment. So it's temporary in nature, meaning that we're kind of close to the last big burst, I'd say, in enrollment related to this. There will be some, families tend to hold back, just like when you look at TK enrollment tends to be a little bit less than enrollment in first grade. It's the same pattern right now where TK is less than kinder, but there'll be less of a gap over time as more and more families start to see the value of TK. Next slide. So there is a proposal to provide us with additional one-time funds. So there's 2 components of this. So one is a repayment of money that they clawed back. They did take money back from the learning loss mitigation funds. And so we're anticipated to get that money back over the course of 3 years. It's just simply a repayment of funds that they took away in the past. There's a proposal for new flexible one-time funds. The legislator is kind of going back and forth about whether they want to put strings to that or not. The intent was to be flexible. Our plan that we talked about internally would be to take any of those funds and just expand the timeline that we have for the positions that we have in one-time funds currently. I think the biggest challenge right here is the amount went from about $4 million to about $500,000 for us. So the legislator they're proposing a pretty significant cut to that. So we'll just kind of wait and see what the number looks like. I mean, those dollars, luckily we don't need them right away. It's something that we'll be looking at putting aside for year 3. So we currently have enough money in one-time funds to pay for the positions for about approximately 2 years, assuming everything else stays the same. This would we were planning on adding a 3rd year, but since there's such a large cut, we just kind of have to wait and see where we land. These dollars, I look at them as kind of balancing dollars, meaning that the governor will use them to balance the budget in a similar manner to what Jerry Brown did, which is just when there's uncertainty about revenues, let's just put it in one-time funds. It's not ongoing. I can take it away from you if I like. So it's kind of being treated like something like that. Next slide. So another new proposal is additional space and funding for the after-school program. And so we receive the lower tier of the fund. So there's two tiers of funding. One is if you have a unduplicated account above 75%, and the other is if you have an unduplicated account 55% or higher. So we fall in the lower tier, which we get around $2,000 per student. It's a challenging program. A lot of school districts just rejected the money. It's a lot of work to stand up an after-school program. And so as a result, there's all this extra money on the table, and they are reallocating it to school districts that have programs like Napa Valley Unified. And so assuming everything goes forward, we would get the higher tier of $2,750, so additional funding, but it would come with some pretty heavy strings. We would now have to go from offering it to all K-6 students who we were previously unduplicated students, or about 67% of the students, to all students, which is 100% of the students, K-6. So pretty significant challenge in terms of facilities. So you take the TK challenge we have, adding 7 to 8 classrooms, plus this, pretty significant impact. We definitely hear chatter from teachers around this. You know, whereas in the past they had their classrooms to plan after school, their classrooms now are spaces for after school. If you look at a school where all the classrooms might be used for something like this, so pretty significant impact at elementary. Next slide. So economic changes. So again, the economy is anticipated to grow at a slower rate, and so they're calling it a growth recession, but that's all up for debate. So if you watch the news, it's just things bounce around. Israel just bombed Iran. I don't know if you read that in the news. So I mean, there's a lot going on literally today. So there's a lot going on that could change the economy very, very significantly. So again, we continue to watch. Conditions right now, I mean, even the interest rate outlook is poor. The only thing that's really driving the potential for interest rates coming down is the slower economy being caused by the tariffs. So really, it's just, there's a lot of uncertainty going on, and we'll just have to continue to watch it. Next slide. So federal policy impact. So the Trump tariffs have caused a great deal of uncertainty in the economy. Flip-flopping tariffs have caused large stock market sell-offs, followed by rebounds. Even if the stock market were to completely recover, uncertainty leads to business investment and lack of business investments and an inability to plan. And so listen to any economic news, they're going to tell you business leaders, what they're doing right now, other than AI, is they're holding onto their cash because they're not really sure what to do with it. Should they invest the money in another country and change manufacturing to another country? But maybe next month, that country now has a tariff too. So there's just a lot of uncertainty. Uncertainty does not lead to stability in the economy. Can't stress that enough. So again, most asset classes have struggled in this environment. Even things like, typically what would happen is when you see the stock market going down, there's a movement into quality, meaning a movement into bonds because there's stability there. And typically what would happen is if there's an outlook for recession, you would see the dollar become stronger. That's not happening right now. So things are just kind of really out of whack, and you could say they're a little bit scary from an economic standpoint. Next slide. So again, there's very significant federal policy risk. There's federal policy risk for school districts especially. So it's driven by the promise to eliminate the Department of Education. There's recent news where they've just said, well, we're doing X, we're just gonna try and take away these funds now. So it really, it changes day by day. I think the best thing that we have for us is most of these funds that we're looking at for federal funds, they'll be challenged in court and they'll take an act of Congress. And there's a delay ultimately. So what we're talking about, the proposals for changes in federal funding, it will not impact us, or at least they shouldn't impact us in this coming year because it takes an act of Congress. It would be the following year. Next slide. So the federal budget proposal, again, which must be approved by Congress, has very significant cuts to education. The proposal includes, first off, it's maintaining Title I in special education. There were a lot of people that complained about potential cuts to Title I in special education. That really impacts other states much more than California. A lot of states are very dependent on that as a primary resource. And so less of an impact in California, so that was maintained. So a $4.5 billion cut from K-12 funding programs, along with a consolidation of programs. So there's lots of different funding grants. They're talking about consolidating it. Not really sure what that looks like. The details are not out. eliminates all funding for adult education, and eliminates Title III and migrant education. Next slide. So the next series of slides talks about the impact on some of our local funds. When we talk about elimination of funds, we talk about, oh my gosh, that's such a huge impact. A lot of these that we have in front of us right now, not an enormous impact. They're impactful, but they're not huge dollar amounts, relatively speaking. So for migrant education is a federally funded program and is administered in all 50 states. It's designed to support high-quality, comprehensive educational programs for migrant children to help reduce the educational disruption and other issues that result from repeated moves. And so we receive about $600,000 in funding, about $400,000 spent on employees, and $200,000 on supplies and contracts. Next slide. Title III. So Title III is a federal program that assists with language instruction for English learners and migrant students. We receive about $900,000, and it's split 50-50, about $450,000 spent on employees, and the other $450,000 on supplies and contracts. Next slide. Adult education. So the proposal is to eliminate all funding for adult education. The district receives about $300,000 in federal funds from adult education. So it's about 8% of their total funding. So not a huge number, but still it's significant. An 8% cut for any budget is significant. Next slide. So again, to repeat some of our economic conditions. So again, large scale reductions of federal employees, policies via executive order, threats of tariffs. It's causing a great deal of uncertainty. California is especially sensitive to tariffs due to the large number of ports. And so California, we have a lot of ports, a lot of port jobs. And again, when you start slapping tariffs on things stop being delivered into our ports, and there is an impact across the entire economy. And so again, this very unclear federal policy will continue to cause market volatility. And what's the end result for us is likely lower revenues for California schools. Next slide. So the labor market in California continues to be challenging, and so our unemployment rate is still higher than the national level. So again, we'll have to continue to watch this, but we've noticed it just in hiring people. So we definitely noticed it in the business office. We've had a much, I'd say, healthier pool of applicants for jobs, and so having a slightly higher unemployment rate, it's better for an employer because you have more choice of employees. Next slide. So Prop 98, so you can see just what happened during the pandemic, 21, 22, just this enormous increase in revenues. And again, if you were to draw a line along the trend, you can see, again, those programs that were built up on the 21, 22 budget, they were just built too high, not sustainable. So that's really what we're having in our budget, in the Prop 98 budget, and the budget in general. I think on the non-Prop 98 side, we just the budget, they put too much in the budget that they can't afford, and so that's just impacting everything across the board. Next slide. So our local conditions, next slide. And so you can see our enrollment is anticipated to continue to decline. We are looking at potential stability over the next 3 years, but again, there are some things related to interdistrict transfers that we'll have to watch very closely to see what our actual enrollment looks like next year. Fairly stable, mainly due to expanded TK and then interdistrict transfers coming to Napa. Next slide. This is a summary of our budget over 3 years. You can see we do anticipate revenues, increased revenues over the next 3 years with a cost of living adjustment of 2.3%, 3.52%, and 3.63%. The final COLAs will likely change in the out years. Again, we'll find out more over time. They've been averaging over the last couple of years about 2 to 3%. I anticipate that they'll kind of stay in that range. That's pretty close to a historic range, 2 to 3%. Next slide. And so recommendations and next steps. So approve positive certification for budget adoption, watch policy changes from the federal government very closely, prepare for the formula invitation in the fall, and close our books for 24-25. So right now the business office is working feverishly to close the books. So the business office is always in a cycle. They never really stop. They go literally from budget adoption to preparing to close the books for the prior fiscal year. And then moving from there straight into first interim. Next slide. And with that, I leave it open to questions.
Questions from trustees? Trustee Water, are you starting? Okay,
I
good.
don't have a question. I just have a comment. One, I'm very glad we have a healthy reserve, in these uncertain times. And, your bullet point about, monitor for future change. I think what we're dealing with are some rabid squirrels, frankly. The changes are just coming very, very fast, thick and fast. And I want some, I'm looking for some consistency, which I'm sure I'm not going to get. And in the meantime, I'm glad that we built up our reserves.
Thank you.
Okay.
It's obviously concerning when economic and funding uncertainty looms at the state and federal level. And while we see budget deficits in year 2 and 3, I really want to express my appreciation for the approach the business office takes now and your previous actions. You factor uncertainty into your projections in order to be responsible in fiscal planning and to sustain programming. Some of the variability in funding is influenced by things that you cannot control, shifts in political priorities, economic conditions, policy changes, and they can all significantly impact district operations. But the business office manages, to the best of anyone's ability, the real risk. And you use conservative revenue estimates, multi-year budgeting strategies, and you've increased our reserve. There's a great deal of complexity in managing budget cycles when there's disruption to long-term planning and theoretically our stability. Our stability, I hate to make comparisons to other districts because it's not what has happened to them. It is our response to what could have happened. And you, Dr. Musetti, and your ability to be preemptive in making really difficult decisions and making, honestly, quite brave decisions to make sure that we have the privilege of being in the place that we are now. California's 25-26 budget does deliver, gains and some wins. But in my opinion, the aggressive use of one-time dollars and payment deferrals has the potential to create structural pressures going forward. But I cannot imagine trying to navigate this financial landscape, the clouds of uncertainty, if we are in fiscal distress. And the difficult work of the last 8 years reflects prudent financial stewardship and ensures the district can remain focused on education and not just external fiscal pressures. And I want to express my appreciation for your work.
Thank you.
Yes.
Other comments from trustees? Well, I'll just echo what Trustee Waters said, which is I'm very grateful for your approach and the fact that we have a healthy reserve to buffer us during these really uncertain, kind of wacky times. So thank you for your leadership of the department and your guidance and for setting us up to be able to weather this storm.
Thank you.
Okay, that brings us to the J2B Spring 2025 STAR Assessment results. Oh, I did not gavel in.
Okay, so you can open the public hearing now.
Okay, so now I'm opening the public hearing. We've had our budget presentation. Is there any public comment on this item?
There is no public comment on this item.
Thank you very much. Public hearing closed. Thank you for that. And now that brings us to J2B Spring 2025 STAR Assessment results.
All right. Good evening, President Reiser, trustees, Dr. Musetti. This evening, I will share with you a summary of the Spring 2025 STAR results. As a reminder, the STAR assessments serve as our universal screener in reading and math and are administered 3 times per year. Typically for these presentations, I would share the STAR data and the instructional services team would speak to the work happening in their division in alignment to the data. Later tonight, however, you will hear from Dr. Reddy as she presents on the proposed LCAP, which will detail much of the work led by the instructional team, and so that content will be part of that presentation tonight. This presentation falls under strategy 3 of the strategic plan, building a comprehensive assessment framework and culture of student data use. It has been a while since we've presented STAR data, so I'd like to provide the board and community with a few reminders before diving into the results. This is a summary of the grade levels which take each of the assessments. Students in grades 3 through 12 take the STAR reading test. Students in kindergarten through 2nd grade take the STAR early literacy test until their reading abilities develop enough that they can be reliably assessed with STAR reading. And typically this transition happens in grade 2. And students in grades 1 through 12 take the STAR math test. Here are some of the key data points that we've looked at in the past and we'll look at again this evening. First, the scaled score. Students who take a STAR assessment are given a scaled score based on the number of questions answered correctly and the difficulty of those questions, and allows us to compare student progress over time and across grade levels. Next, we have the percentile rank. Students are given a percentile rank indicating the percentage of other students nationally who obtain scores equal to or lower than that of the particular student. For example, a student in the 35th percentile in STAR reading performed better than 35% of students nationally in the same grade level as that student who took the assessment at that same time of year. Renaissance then categorizes students based on their percentile rank. Students who score better than 40% of students nationally in their grade level at that same time of the school year are considered at or above benchmark. There are 4 performance levels ranging from at or above benchmark all the way to those in need of urgent intervention who are scoring below the 10th percentile rank. It's important to remember that students are expected to earn a higher and higher scaled score as they progress through their learning. For example, a 6th grader who takes the STAR math test in the fall needs a scaled score of 1026 to be at or above benchmark, and that minimum scaled score increases over time, and by the time that 6th grader takes the test in the spring, they will need a scaled score of 1049. And now we'll jump into the results. This evening, I'll be sharing with you results from all 3 screening windows for the school year. On this slide, you will see the percentage of students who scored at or above benchmark for fall, winter, and spring for literacy and math. For literacy, our overall student population increased by 3 percentage points from fall to spring, and for math, there was a net 0.3% increase. The student groups which we follow closely also showed net increases from fall to spring in literacy, especially our multilingual learners, who increased by 5.9%. And our student groups have mixed results in math, especially our multilingual learners and redesignated students who had a slight decrease. The next set of slides will break down student performance by grade level across the 3 screening windows. The slide shows the percentage of our kindergarten students who scored at or above benchmark on the STAR early literacy test. They started in the fall at 55.6%, increased to 62% in the winter, and then dropped slightly to 60.1% in the spring. As we go through the slides, you will notice a similar pattern for some grade levels and tests, where there's an increase from the fall, increase in the winter, with a slight decrease in the spring. This is consistent with patterns we've historically seen each spring with STAR testing, and also aligns to the trends that we see across the nation. And as you may recall from previous presentations, our 1st and 2nd graders will take either STAR early literacy or STAR reading, depending on their skill level. Renaissance recommends the switch from STAR early literacy to STAR reading when students have earned a scaled score of 852. And so on this slide, I display for you the number of students in 1st and 2nd grade for all 3 screening windows who are eligible for STAR early literacy or STAR reading based on the recommended cutoff of 852. For 1st grade, the percentage of students eligible for STAR reading increased from 9.7% to 50% from the start of the year until now. And for 2nd grade, it increased from 42.2% to 79.1%. So the vast majority of 2nd graders are leaving 2nd grade with solid reading abilities, and the remaining 20% or so are still working on their reading skills. And we now switch to star reading. Here are the proficiency rates for our elementary students. We see increases from the fall to the winter, along with stagnation or minimal changes from winter to spring. And here's the middle school data. Again, not a lot of big shifts in the data across the screening windows. And here we have the high school data. We see steady increases across screening windows for 9th and 10th grade, but 11th and 12th grade is a little bit more stable. And now we switch to star math. For first grade, we see a large increase from fall to winter with a drop in the spring, but still a net positive from fall to spring. And second grade shows a similar pattern. Third grade does show slight decreases over time, while fourth and fifth grade are fairly stable. Middle school math is mostly stable. And as is high school, with minimal changes across the screening windows. So now I'll switch to growth. I'd like to take a few minutes and talk about the student growth from the fall to the spring. Another data point provided by Renaissance is the student growth percentile, or SGP. I've shared this data point in the past, but as a reminder, the SGP indicates the percentage of students nationally at the same grade level and with a similar score history as a particular student who grew less than that student over a defined period of time. So, for example, a student with an SGP of 60 from fall to spring grew more than 60% of students nationally who had a similar score as that student in the fall. So essentially, students with an SGP between 35 and 65 are making typical growth, while those with an SGP below 35 are making low growth, and those with an SGP above 65 are considered making high growth. And so overall, just under 2/3 of our students made typical or high growth in both literacy and math when compared to their peers across the nation, which is similar to what we've seen in prior screening windows. Typically, that percentage runs somewhere between 60 and 65%. I want to emphasize that growth is not the same as proficiency. Students who are making typical growth may or may not be considered at or above benchmarks. They're two different indicators. When we look at growth by student group, we see the percentage of students making typical or high growth is usually in the 60s for most student groups and tests. The exceptions are our multilingual learners, students with IEPs, and students eligible for free and reduced lunch, where the percentage is in the 50s when it comes to math. And here we look at growth, the percentage of students making typical or high growth for each test, broken down by their performance levels starting in the fall. And again, that number is consistently in the 60s for all performance levels. So that indicates to us that student growth is typically consistent regardless of where the student starts in the fall, the start of the year. And again, this is also consistent with what we've seen in the past. And then finally, I'd like to, as I've done in the past, remind the board and community that just because a student is considered at or above benchmark based on national norms, that it does not necessarily mean that the student is proficient based on state standards. This chart shows the percentage of students who are considered at standard met or exceeded based on the state benchmark and standards, which are highly predictive of the CASP. And so the grade levels we have listed here are the same ones which take the English and math CASP tests each year. And we now have 3 years of spring STAR data, which are very closely aligned to the CASP results from that year, often within about 2 percentage points. And so based on this really strong alignment, we have a high level of confidence that our official CASP results will be very close to these numbers. And if that is the case, we would expect an overall increase in CASP results from the prior year. And of course, we'll share the official CASP results with the board later this fall. Here, I compare the spring state benchmark results from this year to the prior year for reading. We see increases at the secondary level, but slight decreases for 3rd through 5th grade. And here are the comparisons for math. Small increases for each grade level here, with the exception of 5th grade, where there was a decrease when we look at that comparison from last year to this year. And with that, I will open it up for any questions or comments. Thank you.
Trustees, any questions or comments for Dr. Aboud? Trustee Chu.
So I always like seeing the growth numbers because I think that's more relevant to most students. I mean, if our kids come in and they're at below level, we cannot expect them to be at level whenever we try to test them. I think that's unreasonable expectation for us, but all we want to see is that they're growing. And I really appreciate that we do look at that and you do present that to us. So I am, I'm glad that our students are still growing in their learning journey. And I hope that with all the new curriculum that we are implementing and, letters training and all of that, I think we will continue to see that growth. So thank you very much for presenting that. And I'm looking forward to future years when we can really see it take off.
Other comments, discussion?
Yeah.
Trustee Water?
Thank you for this presentation, and I'm with her. Yeah, I'm looking at growth. We were talking about the results, and I said, of course, if we hit 99th percentile across the board, we would all be going to jail. Okay, but I really like student group growth data that takes us to some subsets, and it's number 20, slide number 20. And I'm feeling very hopeful about the direction things are taking. And I'd like to commend teachers. I was talking to one of my friends who teaches middle school and she started getting good results with her students by doing, this is anecdotal, but it's helpful, and she got results. Team building, saying, this is what we need to do. I'm going to do my part. How about you? In other words, saying, I'm working. How about you? And we can get this result. And it's for certain students, that was a real motivation. And I'm looking at this. I'm 66% of MLLs, 62.8, say 63%, making typical high growth in literacy. I think that's great. We're definitely moving in the right direction. And it keeps building. So thank you.
And I'll just close before asking for public comment, which I don't want to forget to do, by thanking you for the presentation and the clarity of the presentation. And I think we're seeing some pretty encouraging trends. It's great to see overall growth in both categories, literacy and math. I agree that with your comment, or I just want to thank you for kind of highlighting the fact that the typical or accelerated growth percentage of students is really spread out across the categories, which I think speaks to the fact that we are doing a good job of meeting kids where they are in their differentiation needs. And I just feel very optimistic that the work that we are doing and codifying in terms of the early literacy is going to be continuing to reap benefits in both literacy and math, because it's sort of a known thing that math assessments are also unintentionally reading assessments. And so it always makes sense to me as a teacher that our math scores are a little bit lower, because it's a double cognitive load for our students to be reading and taking on math, challenges and testing their skills there. So I really appreciate this, the way we continue to embrace the data-driven culture, and this is a great example of how we're using that to inform our decision-making and instructional decisions. So thanks so much, Dr. Abood. And is there any public comment on this presentation?
There is no public comment on this presentation.
Okay, thank you very much. Seeing no public comment, we are going to take 7 minutes early before 9 o'clock, our little bio break for the board. Thank you. Okay, welcome back. We are now at J3A. the public hearing for the Local Control and Accountability Plan, the LCAP, and the LCAP Federal Addendum presentation by Dr. Reddy. As this is a public hearing, I am going to gavel it in as such.
Good evening, President Reiser, Board of Trustees, and Superintendent Dr. Musetti. This evening, we will present the Local Control Accountability Plan for the 25-26 school year. Tonight's presentation will include a review of the 24-25 goals and outcomes, an overview of the educational partnership feedback, proposed updates in the 25-26 LCAP, and an opportunity for public input. NVUSD receives both supplemental and concentration funding based on our unduplicated pupil count. Unduplicated pupils are students who qualify as English learners, federal free or reduced price meal program, and/or foster homeless youth. As we consider the LCAP this evening, it is important to note that the NVUSD students and families are experiencing a continual increase in qualifying as socioeconomically disadvantaged, or what is labeled as SED, based on our federal lunch program criteria. Since 2020-2021, the percentage of students classified as SED has grown by 16.22%. Similarly, the unduplicated count has grown by 13.31%. The increased needs of our students and families are addressed through additional services and human resources that are outlined in this plan. Currently, the NVUSD unduplicated pupil count is 68.3%, totaling approximately $37,458,102 million. The LCAP development process is an ongoing process that includes progress monitoring of goals, data, and expenditures. Throughout January through May, the Instructional Support Services team engages in feedback sessions with educational partners. Both qualitative and quantitative data are represented in the draft presentation this evening. First, we will provide an update on the 24-25 plan. The 24-25 LCAP includes 6 goals. Tonight, we will report out on 4 goals that are applicable to all schools. Goal number 5 is no longer a goal in the 25-26 plan, and goal number 6 specifically speaks to Valley Oak High School. For goal number 1, there was a slight increase overall in students meeting or exceeding standard on the CAST ELA, with a slight increase in math. CAST is new this year on the California dashboard. That is an assessment of science, so we will report out growth data next year. As a result, supporting students' literacy and language acquisition as well as math continues to be a key priority. Star reading and math is a metric within goal number 1 that Dr. Boo just presented on earlier this evening, and although the results are not in this presentation, we have incorporated those results into our plan. College and career readiness indicators are priorities in goal number 1. NVUSD students demonstrated growth on the college and career readiness indicator and graduation rates. As we transition CTE programs to NVUSD from NCOE in order to strengthen our career readiness, we're encouraged to see increases in CTE pathway completion. One area of focus is improvements in students meeting the A to G requirements, as this is an area of decline from 2023 to 2024. Goal number 2 prioritizes English learner data, specifically the English learner progress indicator and reclassification rate. Although NVUSD students demonstrated an increase in reclassification, the year-to-year language acquisition progress for English learners declined. That's noted in the ELPI data. As we onboard a new director of multilingual learner services and parent engagement, we will identify key components of the NVUSD master plan for multilingual learners that supports language acquisition. Goal number 3 focuses on perception data from NVUSD families. In the 2024-2025 LCAP, the annual parent survey identified 4 metrics, including parents feeling welcome, parents' knowledge of teacher expectation, parents feeling that language is not a barrier to participation, and parents receiving communication in a language they understand. With the transition to the 24 through 29 NVUSD strategic plan, we align the metrics in goal number 3 to the new annual benchmark survey. This tool better reflects the diverse experiences of our families and provides clearer data aligned to our newly adopted indicators of success. We will monitor 3 indicators: percentages of families who report an increased sense of belonging and welcome in NVUSD schools and district offices, families who report their school and NVUSD cares about their experiences and opinions when making changes, and lastly, they know how to share their thoughts about their child's learning experiences. Chronic absenteeism is a metric where we want to see a decrease. We saw significant improvements from 23 to 24. Suspensions increased slightly. This small increase represents about 20 students suspended for 1 or more days from last year from 23 to 24. We will continue to focus on both indicators as school attendance is critical to academic growth and student well-being. We know when students are suspended, they're not in school to know to have that opportunity. The California Healthy Kids Survey is given to students in grades 5, 7, 9, and 11. The CHECK survey provides multiple measures. There are 3 that are monitored in the LCAP: connection to school, positive relationships with adults, and student safety. I would like to highlight the consistent improvements we are seeing at the 7th grade level. Our organizational focus on middle school shows in all 3 CHECK indicators. These improvements reflect the effectiveness of staff's intentional focus on improving the student experience within NVUSD middle schools. First, NVUSD middle school students reported increased levels of school connectedness from 2022-23 to 2023-24. Students' perception of caring adult relationships is similar to their perception of connectedness. NVUSD elementary students consistently report higher levels of caring relationships with adults. Middle school students reported an increase in caring relationship with adults, and 60% of NVUSD high school students are consistently reporting having a caring relationship with an adult. Although this data is above average for high school, there is room for improvement, and staff will explore root causes and potential avenues for improving the high school experience. NVUSD elementary students report high levels of school safety with growth from 2023-24 to 24-25. Middle school students have reported the highest level of growth in their perception of school safety. NVUSD high school students also shared that safety is improving between those 2 years. As we consider the 2024 through 2029 NVUSD strategic plan, we will focus on an inclusive and welcoming environment and strengthening school safety. This data serves as a method for monitoring our progress. Educational partner feedback is critical to updates in the LCAP. Since January, we have engaged with the following educational partners: the NVUSD Superintendent Parent Advisory, District English Learner Advisory, or DLAC, District Advisory Committee, DAC, our parents who are in Title I schools, NVUSD Superintendent Teacher Advisory, our Student Advisory, and our Special Education Advisory Committee. Additionally, the components of the annual benchmark survey that I outlined previously also influence the LCAP for 25-26. The annual benchmark survey had an incredibly high response rate. I want to thank our communications team for their partnership in this work. We had 2,803 parents respond, 644 staff, and 4,030 students, along with 312 community members. In a review of the survey data and focus group feedback, 4 themes emerged. Those are academic support and intervention, engagement and communication, student well-being and safety, and college and career readiness. Students, staff, and families through these engagement sessions identified the following academic support and intervention needs in this particular area. First, expanding in-class support, especially in reading and literacy, increasing access to tutoring, reading programs, and library resources, the need for support with assessments in order to be more responsive to student needs, improved support for our multilingual learners, including targeted assistance for our newcomers and strategies to support reclassification, extended learning opportunities to promote academic growth beyond the traditional school day, and more meaningful advisory periods. That one came from our students. Second, engagement and communication. The following feedback emerged. They would like more opportunities to strengthen relationships with more live one-on-one connections between parent and teacher. Continued need for accessible and high-quality interpretation services. Students support families with learning at home, wanting to know how can I support more in like math and literacy while my child's at home. So opportunities for our new director of parent engagement to do that. Continued support of parent leadership development, such as ELAC and Parent University. Addition of full-time community parent liaisons. They find that bridge for our community parent liaisons really serve as a bridge between school and home. And students desire more opportunities to provide input and feedback in their education. Student well-being and safety is a priority from our educational partners. 4 key areas that came up was an ongoing need for mental and emotional health services, especially for newcomer students. Safety and security are ongoing key priorities. Continued prevention supports for mental and physical health. And lastly, students desire more opportunities to engage in extracurricular activities and recognition programs. Students highlighted some of the ones that they really appreciate, such as Web and Link Crew, but really have a desire for those to continue and expand. And lastly, educational partners shared the needs for further support of college and career readiness, specifically a really strong interest in expanding that beyond the high school. Continue focus on greater support during key transitions, so ensuring as students transition from elementary to middle to high, that we have support such as like ensuring parents and students know what A to G requirements are and how important it is to pass classes, what opportunities, implementation earlier in grades around like what their strengths indicators might say or their career readiness or their interests. Expansion of summer opportunities for workforce related fields and providing clear information about career technical education and pathways. And then earlier, more transparent guidance for students pursuing the seal of biliteracy. We saw growth in our seal of biliteracy data, and there's an interest in really learning that and knowing that earlier, even for our DLI families, our dual language immersion families. Based on the analysis of the data, survey results, and educational partner feedback, we've made updates to the 25-26 LCAP. First and most importantly, the 25-26 Local Control and Accountability Plan has been updated to align with the 24 through 29 Strategic Plan. While the LCAP supports all 15 strategies, it places primary emphasis on strategies 1 through 7, 10, and 13. Strategies 9, 11, 12, 14, and 15 also contribute to successful implementation and long-term sustainability. LCAP goal number 1 continues our focus on college and career readiness with 4 targeted areas in language and literacy support, mathematic program support, comprehensive assessment system, and then work-based learning experiences. These actions align to the 24-29 strategic plan, specifically strategies 1, 2, and 3. The strategic plan indicators also align to the metrics in the LCAP, including CASP and the college and career readiness indicators on the dashboard. In considering our data, we will focus on the following actions in goal number 1. First, we will continue to support early literacy. We've seen growth with the implementation of letters training, and we'll continue to expand that and support that through the LCAP. We'll expand support to ensure access to guaranteed and viable curriculum with a focus on grades 3 through 6. It is important that we are aligned in what we teach, when we teach, and how we assess. In a review of the STAR data at the mid-year with Executive Director Matt Manning, this became very clear, especially in those particular grades. And we'll increase funding to support AVID, specifically language and literacy strategies and writing revolution strategies across content and grade levels. Math continues to be an area of need. As we learned this year in reflecting on our STAR data, we have a need to continually vertically align our pacing in mathematics to ensure that students have access to grade level priority standards and that all components of our curricular resources are utilized to support students with acquiring the skills and knowledge of mathematics. We want to interrupt the downward trend across TK-12 and math and believe this ongoing approach will be one strategy that addresses this trend. In order to support staff with this action, we'll engage in ongoing coaching and professional learning for elementary and secondary math teachers. As we review data by grade level, there's a need to focus on students in grades 3 through 5 and those students that are moving from 5th to 6th grade. Additionally, we need to expand intervention support in mathematics. We're not waiting for the new LCAP to come into play. We're excited that 130 students in grades 4 through 7 are enrolled in an intensive math intervention program this summer, and we look forward to learning from that experience and expanding that opportunity throughout the school year. Assessment will be a priority in 25-26. We will implement a new early literacy screener, M-Class Dibbles, approved at the last board meeting. This will provide Tier 1 support plans for teachers to engage students in targeted, responsive in-class support. We will expand College Board assessment to include PSAT 8 and 9 for students in AVID and ELD. That will be our pilot. Our goal is to support early identification of student readiness for advanced coursework and expand access, and this assessment provides us that data that we need to encourage students to have access to those courses. Lastly, we will continue to implement 3 rounds of data dialogues with principals, calendared in alignment with the 3-star screening windows so that we can monitor progress and make adjustments throughout the year in response to assessment data. Lastly, for goal number 1, we're excited to strengthen college and career readiness with the support of our counseling team. We will increase education about and exposure to four-year college or universities through partnerships with local community colleges, four-year college and universities through organizations such as Star Network, College Board, and Napa Valley College. We will also expand support to staff, particularly our counseling teams, to ensure successful implementation of a new college and career platform. We have sunsetted Naviance. So we are moving to California Colleges Guidance Initiative, which is now required by our Ed Code. We will also implement academic 4-year plans in ARIES so that students and parents will have access to their 4-year planning, and continue to work on CTE pathway development, and continued access to work-based learning and dual enrollment. And I have to elevate one pathway that we will be implementing next year is ag viticulture at Vintage High School. Goal number 2 focuses on high-impact Tier 1 instruction and targets actions that support our English learners, or as we like to say, our multilingual learners. These actions align to Strategy 1 and 6 of our strategic plan as we focus on developing an instructional framework and aligning professional learning throughout the system. Similarly, we monitor LCAP with strategic plan indicators such as CASP, intervention data, and reclassification. The data continues to highlight the need to deepen our support of high-impact instruction, including literacy and language acquisition. A new action for 25-26 is the development of the NVUSD high-impact instructional model, grounded in gradual release of responsibility. A team of 100 NVUSD staff will engage in this intensive action research with the support of the instructional services team beginning in August. We will continue our focus on integrated and designated ELD with specific attention to the needs of newcomers and long-term English language learners. Newly recognized, earned Dr. Alejandra Uribe. She defended her thesis earlier this week. Our new Director of Multilingual Learner Services and Parent Engagement has already begun to engage with staff and examine key priorities in the NVUSD Master Plan for Multilingual Learners so that we can align our priorities with this plan to address the needs of our MLLs. LCAP goal number 3 focuses on family communication, engagement, and advocacy. This is aligned to strategies 4 and 10 of our strategic plan, and we measure this with the annual benchmark survey. So this goal has been realigned. So our new baseline data is this year's data. This year, we've worked closely with our DLAC and ELAC families. We will continue this focus as we seek to strengthen parent engagement at school sites through both formal organizations such as ELAC and overall parent learning offerings, and we'll seek to improve parent learning across key transition areas. Goal number 4 focuses on 4 key actions: wellness, multi-tiered systems of support, inclusive and welcoming schools, and safety. These align to 4 strategic plan strategies, including strategy 3, 4, 5, and 7. Growth is measured in alignment with strategic indicators, including chronic absenteeism, suspension rates, and the California Healthy Kids Survey. Our goal is to sustain our award-winning wellness program by defining our logic model for wellness and developing sustainable path forward as we navigate the impending end of Learning Recovery Emergency Block Grant Funds in June 2028 and changes in funding for wellness in the state. NVUSD will strengthen professional learning communities to enhance staff collaboration around student learning and provide timely academic interventions, especially at the Tier 2 level, which will be an area of focus. At the same time, the district will deepen the implementation of MTSS, including the rollout of a new platform pending board approval to improve school-based responsiveness and streamline supports across tiers, which will be presented later tonight. The third action in goal number 4 was revised to reflect the language of the 24 through 29 NVUSD strategic plan, which focuses on inclusive and welcoming schools, reflecting a continued commitment to creating an inclusive, welcoming environment and culture of belonging in our schools. To support a more inclusive learning environment, the district will continue to work closely with the Inclusive and Welcoming Schools Steering Committee to identify disproportionate outcomes and advise staff on equity-focused improvements. Lastly, NVUSD is also enhancing its commitment to safety. Emergency operations protocols will be further strengthened, and new safety procedures supported by Centegix technology will be implemented to improve emergency response systems. Additionally, a consistent cell phone policy will be introduced across all school sites to reduce distractions and reinforce positive learning environments. This is the first year that the state is requiring local education agencies to report out their plan for spending Learning Recovery Emergency Block Grant Funds. Allowable expenditures include extending learning opportunities, accelerating progress in literacy and math, integrating evidence-based practices, supporting credit recovery, and conducting needs assessments. These expenditures are outlined in the 25-26 LCAP Goals 1 and 4. Staff conducted a needs assessment that included a review of academic performance in ELA and math and chronic absenteeism. LREBG funds will address academic needs through early intervention, as you can see with interventionists, professional development through PAR, and credit recovery. NVUSD addresses chronic absenteeism in goal number 4 with additional social workers and counselors who provide mental health support and case management, ensuring that our students show up ready to learn. Tonight's public hearing is an opportunity for input. We will consider feedback from the public hearing as we present the plan for approval during the Board of Education meeting on June 26, 2025. Before I close this evening, the LCAP is a team effort. I want to thank Dr. Bood for his data support and Jenna Burrows for her support with the financial components. And that concludes our report. I'll take questions.
Thank you, Dr. Reddy. Discussion or comments from trustees? Trustee Chu.
So I love that there's actions and services that are paired to all of these at the end, so we know what's coming up. And all of them look great. I do want to highlight one thing that I just told Trustee Reiser is the PSAT 8-9. So now that we have a new partnership with STARS Network, and my son went through the process of applying to one of the programs over summer, and one of the things that I found when I was looking at what some of the requirements are is PSAT 8-9. And it's one way for some of the more competitive advanced programs to identify students who are qualified to even apply. So when my son was in 9th grade, we did look at, possibilities of taking PSAT 9 or 8-9, and that was not an option. We did ask the counselor, and that wasn't offered. And at the time, I didn't say anything only because we were still right-sizing the ship, so there were no resources. But I do appreciate the fact that it is coming, because I do know a lot of more wealthier school districts offer that. I'm sure private schools all offer that. And that really gives the students an earlier opportunity, exposure to a lot of these programs. So I love that this is coming and that it can pair with our STARS Network partnership to really elevate our students to have these opportunities. So thank you for including that.
It's been something we're assessing for a couple of years. I think the STARS Network gave us more of an impetus to really move this year. We don't have assessments in 9th and 10th grade. We have the STAR, and as a former advanced placement teacher, I know that the College Board assessment for PSAT 8-9 really, it gives you data, and we engaged in some data analysis with our College Board rep and our counselors and some of our AVID and ELD teachers. And there was awareness earlier this year in late January around how we could use the data. And so I think we had to build some awareness around the usage and why it's important, because sometimes you can feel like you're testing too much. So I think there's some, between taking some time to analyze it, letting COVID, bringing back the SAT, the PSAT for 11th grade and the SAT first, we're ready to now engage in at an earlier level. We're starting smaller with AVID and ELD to really see how we can open up access. But I think you make a great point around we could even consider like students who are engaging with the STARS Network having that opportunity. So
it seems that we have this wonderful opportunity with STARS Network. So anything that we can do to engage our student population to understand that opportunity and start to prepare themselves with resources that we offer seems like a really good strategy. Thank you.
Other comments or discussion from trustees?
Well, this is a lot to take in, and I was reading it over the weekend, and I was thinking, we have so many unduplicated students, and but I think we're doing pretty well, and I just really want to reduce the absenteeism. I see that's one of the major goals, and I was curious as to why. I was looking at the goal number 4, students will thrive socially, emotionally, and academically, from the California Healthy Kids Survey, the data highlights. And I was just wondering why students in 5th and 11th grades would report a slight decrease in feeling safe. Why 5th grade? It seems like 5th grade, they may have been at the school for 6 years. Is this some anxiety that's coming on?
You're going to middle school, maybe?
I don't know. Maybe they're worried about going on to middle school. I have no idea. What would contribute to that, not necessarily cause it. I'm interested in the academic support and intervention, expanding in-class support, especially in reading and literacy, increased access to tutoring, reading programs, and library resources. I think we need to make sure that, all the libraries have the same amount of resources.
Just to speak to the fifth grade, our fifth graders were in first grade, and so we're seeing in fourth and fifth grade, it took a couple years in second and third grade to really help students. They missed those key transition points into school, how to engage in school, how to socialize and engage with others. And so I have no doubt that missing key components of their early elementary years had an impact on some of the behaviors that we're seeing in fourth and fifth grade.
Okay,
it's
that makes
improving.
sense.
We're seeing improvements. We're seeing decrease in bullying, harassment, things like that. But it was there were more increased reporting of that with our fourth and fifth graders.
Okay. Yes. Yeah, I don't think we've completely snapped back yet. And this one really popped out at me. More meaningful advisory periods. That indicates some real self-knowledge there. I think, I salute that.
Thank you. Other trustees? Okay, I'll wrap up by just thanking you for this. It's an enormous amount of work that you've been working on all year. The timeline shows us the input collection process and the myriad groups that you are getting input from. And I also just want to appreciate the way in which you have seamlessly adapted the existing LCAP to match our new strategic plan. Was really well done, and just I think we're seeing growth, and the LCAP reflects a lot of strategic thinking and resource allocation. So thank you for that hard work. And with that, I'll ask if Ms. Green, there's any public comment for this LCAP hearing.
There is no public comment.
Okay, thank you. Seeing none, the hearing is closed. And that brings us to J3B, the introduction of supplementary instructional material adoption recommendations for elementary school. Director Manning.
Thank you very much. Good evening, President Reiser, Dr. Musetti, and Board of Trustees. I am here to introduce on behalf of the Instructional Division two supplementary instructional programs, Spanish language arts instructional programs for our DLI schools. So the first program is a two-level program from Pacific Learning, and it will be used primarily in first and second grade as an intervention for word recognition and sentence level reading. And so the first program, the first level of that program is El Camino al Éxito, and that's the road to success, again, focused on word and sentence level reading. The second level of that program is El Próximo Paso al Éxito, the first stop towards success. And that moves on to multisyllabic words and a focus on sentence and paragraph reading. So that's one program that we're introducing. And then the second program is a program called Sonidos program, and that is for our DLI TK programs, and that will be used to teach Spanish language sounds and sound blending in those classrooms, and it supports our core program. So we are introducing those this evening, and we will bring those back at the next board meeting for approval, with a recommendation for approval. Happy to answer any questions if you have them.
Any questions from trustees? I just want to say it's very gratifying to see us continue to sort of see where the gaps in curriculum are and fill them with excellent materials. So this is a great addition to our materials that we offer our students. Is there public comment, Ms. Green, for this adoption item?
There is no public comment.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Director Manning. Now that brings us to K, action items. K1, General Services. K1A, Resolutions 2534 through 2537, signature authorizations on behalf of the governing board.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a first from Trustee Chu, a second from Trustee Hart. Is there public comment on this item?
There is no public comment on this item.
Thank you. Seeing as it's a resolution, can we please have a roll call vote, Ms. Morales?
Yes. Trustee Ricer?
Aye.
Trustee Shu?
Aye.
Trustee Hart?
Aye.
Trustee Jankowicz?
Aye.
Trustee Martin?
Aye.
Trustee Water?
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you. K1B, nomination of NVUSD Board of Trustees for CSBA Golden Gavel Award Governance Team of the Year.
Move to approve.
Second.
First from Trustee Chu, second from Trustee Hart. Ms. Green, is there public comment for this item?
There is no public comment on this item.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. Oppose? Abstain? Motion passes. K1C, nomination of 2 NVUSD programs for the CSBA Golden Bell Award.
Move to approve.
Second.
First from Trustee Chu, second from Trustee Hart. Ms. Green, is there public comment for this item?
There is no public comment on this item.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Oppose? Abstain? Motion passes. K1D, NVUSD response to Napa County Civil Grand Jury Report.
Move to approve.
Second.
First from Trustee Chu, second from Trustee Hart. Ms. Green, is there public comment for this item?
There is no public comment on this item.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Oppose? Abstain? Motion passes. K2, Business Services. K2A, proposed facilities usage rate increase.
Move to approve.
Second.
First from Trustee Chu, second from Trustee Hart. Ms. Green, is there public comment for this item?
There is no public comment on this item.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Oppose? Abstain? Motion passes. K2B, purchase of Chromebox devices from CTI Inc.
Move to approve.
Second.
First from Trustee Chu, second from Trustee Hart. Ms. Green, do we have public comment for this item?
There is no public comment on this item.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Oppose? Abstain? Motion passes. K3, facility improvement. K3A, FID 7.7-25, contract with 101 Builders.
Move to approve.
Second.
First from Trustee Chu, second from Trustee Hart. Ms. Green, is there public comment for this item?
There is no public comment on this item.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Oppose? Abstain? Motion passes. 3D, FID 7.8-25, contract with LEA relocation services for McPherson Elementary School.
Move to approve.
Second.
A first from Trustee Chu, a second from Trustee Hart. Ms. Green, is there public comment for this item?
There is no public comment on this item.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Oppose? Abstain? Motion passes. K3C, FID 17.7-25, contract with Miller Pacific.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a first from Trustee Chu, second from Trustee Hart. Ms. Green, do we have public comment for this item?
There is no public comment on this item.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Oppose? Abstain? Motion passes. K3D, FID 18.11-25, contract with HKIT Architects.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a first from Trustee Chu, a second from Trustee Hart. Ms. Green, do we have public comment for this item?
There is no public comment on this item.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Oppose? Abstain? Motion passes. K3E, FID 18.12-25, contract with PBK Architects for Napa High School.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have first from Trustee Chu, a second from Trustee Hart. Ms. Green, do we have public comment for this item?
There is no public comment on this item.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Oppose? Abstain? Motion passes. K3F, FID 18.13-25, contract with PBK Architects for Vintage High School.
Move to approve.
Second.
First from Trustee Chu, second from Trustee Hart. Ms. Green, do we have public comment for this item?
There is no public comment on this item.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Oppose? Abstain? Motion passes. K3G, FID 22.1-25, contract with The Motive Studio.
Move to approve.
Second.
First from Trustee Chu, second from Trustee Hart. Ms. Green, do we have public comment for this item?
There is no public comment on this item.
Thank you very much. All in favor? Aye. Oppose? Abstain? Motion passes. K4, Human Resources. K4A, agreement with Kickup SaaS Services.
Move to approve.
Second.
First from Trustee Chu, second from Trustee Hart. Ms. Green, do we have public comment for this item?
There is no public comment on this item.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Oppose? Abstain? Motion passes. K4B, agreement with CSU East Bay intern teacher.
Move to approve.
Second.
The first from trustee Chu, a second from trustee Hart. Ms. Green, do we have public comment for this item?
There is no public comment on this item.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Oppose? Abstain? Motion passes. K4C, request to hire educator less than fully credentialed.
Move to approve.
Second.
First from trustee Chu, a second from trustee Hart. Ms. Green, do we have public comment for this item?
There is no public comment on this item.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, aye. I forgot to vote. Oppose? Abstain? Motion passes. K4D, proposed Napa Valley Educator Association collective bargaining agreement.
Move to approve.
Second.
First from trustee Chu, a second from trustee Hart. Ms. Green, is there public comment on this item?
There is no public comment on this item.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Oppose? Abstain? Motion passes. K5, instructional services. K5A, new high school course of study adoption.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a first from trustee Chu, a second from trustee Hart. Ms. Green, is there public comment for this item?
There is no public comment on this item.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Oppose? Abstain? Motion passes. K5B, contract with California Education Partners.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a first from trustee Chu, a second from trustee Hart. Ms. Green, do we have public comment for this item?
There is no public comment on this item.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Oppose? Abstain? Motion passes. K5C, agreement with Jose Valdez Math Foundation.
Move to approve.
Second.
First from trustee Chu, second from trustee Hart. Ms. Green, do we have public comment for this item?
There is no public comment on this item.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Oppose? Abstain? Motion passes. K5D, agreement with Latino Film Institute summer programming.
Move to approve.
Second.
First from trustee Chu, second from trustee Hart. Do we have public comment on this item, Ms. Green?
There is no public comment on this item.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Oppose? Abstain? Motion passes. K5E, agreement with Sunrise Banquet and Event Center.
Move to approve.
Second.
First from trustee Chu, a second from trustee Hart. Ms. Green, do we have public comment on this item?
There is no public comment on this item.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Oppose? Abstain? Motion passes. K5F, ratification of agreement with California Department of Veterans Affairs.
Move to approve.
Second.
First from trustee Chu, a second from trustee Hart. Ms. Green, do we have public comment for this item?
There is no public comment on this item.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Oppose? Abstain? Motion passes. K5G, subscription to EduClimber.
Move to approve.
Second.
President Reiser, before the board votes, we do have a brief presentation by staff. Dr. Abood is going to be providing some background information regarding EduClimber.
Wonderful.
Dr. Abood?
Thank you. All right, hello, everyone. We wanted to provide a little bit of context on this action item for the subscription of EduClimber, which is a Renaissance product which supports the tracking of interventions. This work falls under Strategy 3, specifically Goal 3.3, which focuses on data-based practices and structures for academic intervention. As you know, about 5 years ago, instructional services and data services worked together to design data dashboards and workflows in ARIES for identifying students in need of interventions and tracking their progress over time. This worked well for a few years, but there is now a need for a more robust MTSS tracking platform. And so I was asked to help facilitate a work group to review potential products. And a work group was established that included classroom teachers, teachers on special assignments, site administrators, and instructional services directors. 3 vendors came to NVUSD to demo their products, and work group members were given an evaluation tool with a number of criteria and asked to take notes and rank each product for each criterion on a scale of 1 to 3. And the day concluded with a debrief protocol. And we asked the vendors to demo both their MTSS tracking platform as well as their assessment platform. We knew that eventually we would need a platform to build and house assessments, and so we decided to review both products, knowing that it would be beneficial for us to use 2 products from the same vendor. Renaissance demoed a product called DNA for assessment and EduClimber for MTSS. Power School demoed Performance Matters and Power School MTSS. And Instructure demoed Mastery Connect as their assessment platform, but did not have an MTSS tracking system. And here's a screenshot of the evaluation tool. I don't expect you to be able to read it, but I just wanted to illustrate the thought that went into designing clear evaluation criteria. Yeah, and this is actually just half of it. There's a whole other page. So those were the criteria there. And so I won't go through each of these in detail, but here you can see some of the things that we were really looking for in both platforms. And that evaluation tool really reflects those priorities. And by the end of the day, the work group was able to eliminate Power School due to lacking some critical features. The work group really liked the teacher-friendly interface of Mastery Connect from Instructure, but they did not have an MTSS platform, and we struggled to find districts who were successfully using Mastery Connect with a different MTSS tracking system, and so we had to eliminate that product as well. So Renaissance met the vast majority of the criteria for both the assessment platform and the MTSS tracking platform. And so the recommendation is to move forward with the Renaissance product, starting with EduClimber. The plan is to pilot the product with 4 to 5 school sites this fall before expanding the implementation to additional sites. And although we like DNA as an assessment platform, we're not quite ready to move forward with an assessment system quite yet, as we need to build more of a system-wide understanding of assessments and continue to build a culture around student data and assessment results. So we see this coming in the future. Oops, sorry. Let me go back. And tonight's action item asks you to approve the purchase of EduClimber for 2025-2026. And if approved, data services and instructional services will work together to begin the technical configuration of the tool this summer, design workflows within EduClimber, and identify the pilot sites and plan for training of the appropriate staff in the coming year. And with that, I'll open up to any questions if you have any.
Thank you, Dr. Aboud. Any questions or comments from the board?
Thank you. You had a first and a second on the floor.
Thank you so much. Okay, so we had a first from Trustee Chu and a second from Trustee Hart. Is there public comment on this item, Ms. Green?
There is no public comment on this item.
Okay, thank you. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain? Motion passes. K6, Operational Services, K6A, FMO 29.01.2025, OPER, Ellis Flooring, Inc., Classrooms.
Move to approve.
Second.
First from Trustee Chu, a second from Trustee Hart. Ms. Green, do we have public comment for this item?
There is no public comment for this item.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Oppose? Abstain? Motion passes. K6B, FMO 03.01.2026, OPER, Best Fire Equipment.
Move to approve.
Second.
First from Trustee Chu, second from Trustee Hart. Ms. Green, do we have public comment for this item?
There is no public comment for this item.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Oppose? Abstain? Motion passes. K6C, FMO 30.01.2025, OPER, Ellis Flooring, Inc., Portables.
Move to approve.
Second.
First from Trustee Chu, a second from Trustee Hart. Ms. Green, do we have public comment for this item?
There is no public comment on this item.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Oppose? Abstain? Motion passes. K6D, FMO 04.01.2026, OPER, Lillard Restoration Services.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a first from Trustee Chu, a second from Trustee Hart. Ms. Green, do we have public comment for this item?
There is no public comment on this item.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Oppose? Abstain? Motion passes. K6E, Agreement with Chef and Foundation for California Community Colleges.
Move to approve.
Second.
First from Trustee Chu, a second from Trustee Hart. Ms. Green, do we have public comment for this item?
There is no public comment on this item.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain? Motion passes. K6F, contract with Daylight Foods for dairy products.
Move to approve.
Second.
A first from trustee Chu, a second from trustee Hart. Ms. Green, is there public comment for this item?
There is no public comment on this item.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Oppose? Abstain? Motion passes. L, informational. L1, general services. L1A, the Curriculum and Student Support Committee, there was no meeting. L1B, the Facilities and Technology Committee, there are minutes attached for that meeting. Is there public comment for that item, Ms. Green?
There is no public comment on this item.
Thank you. L1C, the Finance Committee just met yesterday, so minutes will be attached for the next regular meeting. And L1D, Policy Committee, did not meet. L2, Business Services. L2A, the warrant register for accounts payable checks issued by NVUSD. Is there public comment for this item, Ms. Green?
There is no public comment on this item.
Thank you. L3, Instructional Services. L3A, California Healthy Kids Survey Results 2024-2025.
President Reiser, Dr. Reddy has just a comment about this item.
Okay, Dr. Reddy, take it away.
Thank you. Typically, it's our practice to present our California Healthy Kids Survey. Earlier this evening, you heard 3 key indicators in our local control accountability plan. This is a more extensive analysis of key indicators within our California Healthy Kids Survey. Additionally, it's also in response to requests regarding the topic of bullying in schools made by the public earlier this year. And so you'll see that bullying and harassment data is included in this summary.
Thank you very much for that. Is there public comment for that item, Ms. Green?
There is no public comment on this item.
Thank you. Additional suggestions and comments from board members and superintendent?
Me, as usual. Yeah, well, we are all wearing our T-shirts, and June is Pride Month, but it is also Immigrant Heritage Month. And given what's going on, in our state, I guess I wanted to tell you a little story about a political fundraiser I attended last month, and it was downtown Napa, and it's for a former student of mine who's been the mayor of Woodland, California, and she's now running for, her husband works in Napa, her parents work in Napa, but she's now running for county supervisor in Yolo. And she went to Shearer School. She came here not knowing English. She went to Shearer School. She went to Redwood. She went to graduated from Napa High. The room was full of people who'd been to those 3 schools, had gone to either straight on to a 4-year college or Napa Valley College. UC Berkeley and UC Davis were heavily represented, and they were there with their families and their children, and today they're citizens, and they've got great jobs, they're working, they're paying taxes, contributing, little children running around, and I was standing there feeling very proud for the tiny part I had in that, and I think all of us should feel proud, because our kids who come here, they don't know English, and they don't get the top scores on tests. They're not a burden. They're nothing but a plus to our community. That's what I have to say. We're lucky to know them.
Thank you for that, Trustee Water. I agree. Other comments from the board? Superintendent? No. Okay, and future agenda items? And that brings us to O, adjournment.
Move to adjourn.
We have a first from Trustee Martin, a second from Trustee Hart. All in favor? Aye.